In this episode, we are replacing the roof on a heritage cottage, which means we have to preserve as much as we can, but it's being messed up slowly for about 100 years. So before we touch the roof cover, we have to fix what's underneath: sagged rafters, twisted junctions, and load parts. I'll show you what we're adding. So bracing, underpurling, struts, the standard stuff that every roof frame has. Let's start.
Alright, let's have a look what we're dealing with here. Ooh, that's tight. Oh well, if my head fits, I'm in. Oh, we got plenty of room to work with. Yeah, that's nice.
First up, speed bracing. The roof doesn't just sag, it wants to rack sideways. Wind loads, rear roof geometry, and all fixings slowly pull it out of square. Speed bracing locks the shape in. It triangulates the roof so it stops scraping. In simple words, speed bracing keeps the roof the shape it was meant to be. These rafters were spanning too far for what they're carrying, so over time they need sag, bounce, and movement telegraphing through the roof. The underpurling shortens the working span of a rafter, so instead of each rafter struggling on its own, the load gets picked up mid-span and sent into the structure that can support its weight. In simple terms, underpurling takes the bend out of the rafter. Alright, let me demonstrate. I've always been a visual learner. So imagine that this is a rafter. If you don't have a support under the rafter, when we apply the forces, they're going to start sagging the timber. When the timber sags, it's going to apply a lot of forces on the top and bottom where all the fixings are. That's going to lead to all the fixings popping out and the timber cracking. This is the critical point. Value loads concentrate here. The LVL strut takes the load and sends it straight down into the walls below. LVL is usually used because it stays straight, it's stable, strong, and behaves predictably. In simple words, it gives the load a clear way home. And finally, the strutting beam. This is a load sharing. Without it, one rafter or one junction ends up doing all the work. The strutting beam spreads the loads across multiple members, so the roof behaves like a system instead of being just one piece. You can think of it as ice. On one foot, you're gonna go straight through. If you spread the load, you can actually stay on ice. Why do we do all of this before putting the new roof on? Only once the geometry is corrected, the structure is doing its job that was originally designed to do, and that can support a new metal roof. If you skip this step, the new roof will look good from 2 streets away, but the structure will still stay the same, it will move, it will crack, and the leaks will come back.
The first thing we had to do is open up the roof so we can slide all the materials inside. We're inside the roof now. We started setting out and you can see all the members we talked about. Strutting beam, struts, underpurling. They are supporting the rafters nicely now and spreading the load on the walls downstairs. So that is the strutting beam and that as well. You can see the struts. They're cutting really nicely. I tried to make it tight, a little bit showing off now, but I have to. So as you can see, the framing is all done now, and we can continue with taking off the shingles and installing the new metal roof.
Okay, more issues with the roof, which is not unexpected for the roof this old. So when the roofer took the shingles off, he was able to see the top of the rafters and the ends. So the top of the rafter is in a pretty bad condition, and where the rafter meets the ceiling joist, that connection is not good. So we will have to address that. What we're gonna do today is take the top off, have a look at ourselves, and then we're gonna wait for the engineer to come, have a site visit with him, and he's gonna give us recommendations how to fix it. Okay, let's have a look at it together and see what's happening. So yeah, you can see this one is not sitting on the ceiling joist at all. So that has to be fixed. That one as well. It's barely sitting on the ceiling joist. So yeah, they have replaced a couple of them. You can see that one's different. That one's different as well. And this one. Yeah, that one is rough. So this connection, I'm not sure if that's original or that's been added, but that's not the best. So the rafters generally are not in that bad shape. You know, you can get away with keeping them in place, but we definitely have to strengthen the connection between the rafter and the ceiling joist. Okay, just finished the site meeting with the engineer, and what he came up with is we're gonna get galvanized steel plates 5mm thick. We're gonna bolt them with M12 bolts to this rafter and to the ceiling joist. That's gonna strengthen up our connection between the rafter and the ceiling joist. Also, there are two ceiling joists that have been damaged by termites, and we're gonna bolt a steel plate alongside it as well to give it more strength. I would prefer to replace two of the rafters, but his opinion is we don't need to. Okay, we're gonna wait for his details and we're gonna order what we need. So yeah, that is a wrap up for today. I'm gonna put the top back on and I'll see you in the next one. We got the engineering report back with the repair detail for strengthening the connection between the rafters and ceiling joists. So this is the report. The rafter ties back into the ceiling joist with galvanized flat bar plates and bolts, so the connection is properly reinforced again. In our case, we're gonna use 150 by 200 5mm thick plate with 3 M12 bolts. Normally, I would have this fabricated and galvanized offsite, but the issue I have, the roof's open, the rain's on the way, and unfortunately, I'm not getting paid to stand around waiting 3 weeks for the steel. So I'm heading down to the steel supplier, grabbing some 6mm galvanized flat bars because they got them in stock. I'm gonna cut them to size, drill them out, and apply some fresh coating over the cuts and holes I've drilled. So let's get into it. As you can see, I've set up in front of the garage. Not the fanciest workshop, but it's gonna get the job done. I'm just measuring up the size of the plates. I'm gonna set it up and make it tight for the cut. A little bit of a lubricant. The good thing about this chop saw is that it has a laser on it, easy to line up. It's a thick steel, but it goes through it pretty easily. And we're just gonna repeat the process a lot. I'm marking out the holes as per drawing. I'm drilling with 6mm drill bit first to make a pilot hole, and then I'm just gonna drill with 12mm.
clean up the mess. And take off the lubricant so the paint sticks. I'm going to use galvanized coating. You don't really need to paint the whole thing. It's enough to paint the holes and the cuts, but I've just seen a lot of rust on this one and I was like, what the hell, I'll just paint the whole thing. It just looks better for the video. Alright, we're back on the roof. You can see the plates installed. 2 M12 bolts in the ceiling joist and 1 in the rafter. You can see the washers on the other side. It pulled the rafter nice and tight. Same as this one, if you remember, that was a little bit out of line. Now they're all lining up perfectly. Here is the plate detail. We bolt 2 and 2. This is the other side, so we just continued around the house until we're done all 4 sides. Alright, some beauty shots. This is the finished product. Well, I hope you like it. I'm very happy how it turned out. New metal roof, new gutters, new flashings. So no more leaks. We're gonna go at the back and check the back as well. Let's go up. Yeah, it looks really nice now. The roofer still needs to come back and put the spreader in, but other than that, we are done. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you run into any issue on site, maybe a dodgy tradie, you're not sure how to build something, leave a comment below, and as always, I'm happy to help. See you in the next one.